Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Micronova Metals. This is my first video after I spent 3 days distilling a fresh batch, or batches, 4 of them rather, of nitric acid, high concentrate. And if you saw that video, I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up. So what we have in front of us here is some scrap sterling silver jewelry that I have been accumulating off of Facebook Marketplace, and one piece in there is from a flea market, an outdoor flea market, and then there is this one piece here I got at an indoor flea market, and nothing in here like really that special, just single pieces of jewelry, like oddball earrings, no matching set, just one. There's some stuff that has some little stones in it. I'm estimating there to be maybe like 5 grams total in this batch, and I'm just going to process this in a 1 liter beaker and just take my time and dosing it with nitric, because the acid I have is between 90 and 95% purity or concentration rather of red fuming nitric acid. So just going to take my time, kind of enjoy the process. I'm still in the process of learning myself. And the other thing I want to show you here is this is an old sterling silver knife. This handle, this hollowed out handle here, up until recently had a red powdery clay-like substance packed into it. And so it was damaged. The guy had it for sale for $5. He said to me, I think it's silver. I'm going to test it. And I asked him what he would sell it for. And after a brief pause, he said $5. So what does that mean for me? $19 grams of sterling silver, and I do believe that this blade is sterling as well. I can't be absolutely positive, but I mean it bends so easy, so easy. So I'm going to throw that into the beaker as it is. The other thing I want to show you is this is a set of earrings here that I'm going to be giving away to a subscriber when I hit that 1,000 subscribers. I'm on a very slow roll to getting there at this point, but when the time comes, this is what you can expect, and we'll pick somebody randomly, hopefully through a program that I can familiarize myself with, and we'll get these shipped off to you. Okay, and moving on from that, what do we have here for weight? I'll get this teared out. See if it weighs out the same as I have on my notepad. I had 238 grams, and that was of course with this. Now showing 239. I don't trust the scale completely because it does not give me let's say 239.3, for example, only round down to the nearest gram. But so in essence, what I'm looking out of this is I got this written down here. So it's all sterling silver scrap, mostly jewelry except for the knife, and that's the yield I'm looking at getting right there. 233 times 0.925, which I have verified with every piece here. It says 0.925, and there is some stone weight to it. So I'm saying about 5 grams of stones. I've already removed some of them, but with what's in there currently, it should be about 5 grams. That's just an estimation. So maybe 215 grams of 999's fine bullion by the time that I'm done with it. And some people might say, "Oh, you don't know what those stones are. They might be of value. You could give them or sell them to a jeweler." Well, I'd rather give them to you. So during the filtering process, if somebody really wants these, just, type in the comments, give me the stones. And the first person that does that, I'll communicate with you and send them off to you free of charge. Okay, so I'm going to just about cover up this scrap with distilled water. I've decided to use distilled water almost exclusively now because to date, every project I've done on camera and off camera has produced silver chloride, even though I drew the water from my Berkey water filter, which pretty much gets everything out. But my water itself has a very high concentration of iron from my private well, so I think that may have had something to do with it. I'm not entirely sure, but I just can't think of any other explanation. And this is just an apothecary bottle I filled up with my most recent nitric acid distillation, and doing the math on how much I'm actually going to need between 215 grams of pure silver that is contained hopefully within that scrap, and the copper, the 24 grams of copper, I'm going to need, what was it here, 279.9 milliliters, so let's call it 280, and that's to handle a 1-for-1 milliliter 2 gram of silver and a 4 milliliters of nitric to each gram of copper requires 4, and then I did the concentration at 90%, so it's going to be somewhere around that area. But I'm only going to dose this in. So got my fume hood started. I'm ready to go. The only thing I'm not putting in here right now is because it required more water, and I want to keep the level relatively low inside there. But here we go. And I do not have the heat turned on as of right now. And if you look, it's just been a few seconds, and off to the left you can see a reaction already starting. I'll get us closer to it real quick. Give us a little bit of a swirl. Some of these ornaments I tried to pull out, but I just couldn't get them with any finesse, so they're in there. But there we are. It's starting already. All right, we'll check back in soon. Okay, so back with an update. This is 5 minutes into the reaction after I turned the heat on a low setting right here, and it's getting pretty vigorous in there already. And notice I only put in maybe 15 milliliters or so of that concentrated acid. So I'm gonna close my little shield here, keep an eye on it, let the vent hood do its work, and check back with you soon. Okay, so I forgot to start rolling the camera on this last step I just did. I rehydrated the solution with water up to the 300 milliliter mark, and then I added in another 50 mils of nitric acid just to really get it going. It was just kind of starving and barely moving along, and even though it's a high concentration of nitric acid, it still needs to fuel a fire, so we're moving along a little bit quicker now. All right, so here's one of my favorite things to see here. See that on top? I'm going to spray down the sides in a second. Just a nice sight to see silver just floating on top. To know that the reaction's doing its job. I see this every time I dissolve silver, but just a nice little sight to share it with you. Okay, we're back 3 days later. I had to abandon this project for a number of reasons, just busy life like the rest of you. And what's going on here is I've ended up having to rehydrate the solution. I think I was down to about the 350 or 400 milliliter mark, and decided to, instead of adding any nitric, because there was nothing going on other than a just small little amount of fumage, when I restarted it, I decided I should try rehydrating it first, and it turns out there's plenty of nitric in there right now, and I'm not going to add any until that kind of clears up quite a bit more. But that's just one thing I've learned along the way in this short journey, is that before you add more acid when it comes to nitric, make sure that the issue of non-reactivity doesn't have something to do with a lack of hydration, meaning that you need enough water in there, clean water, for that silver to go into solution. It's got to make room for it, and nitric isn't going to do that for you. All right, as you can see, it's cleared up quite a bit in there. So I was going to pipe it in, but yeah, why don't I do that? This will be up almost 10 milliliters right here. I'm not going to put it all in there at once. Just give that a second to react. So there is one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of the video, is that I took all this sterling silver and washed it 3 times in a heavy dose of Dawn dish detergent and hot water. That was just to make it clean, and a lot of folks will just put the torch to it and let it burn off. But I decided that a thorough cleaning job will work just fine, and I mean the solution looks really good. I am going to dose some more nitric into it. All right. That brought us up to 6 or 7 more. And we're just going to give it a little bit of time. And I think we'll give it a little increase in heat. I had it way over here just to stimulate the solution in the very beginning, but I think I'm going to leave it right there and just gradually increase the heat. All right, I'm going to put in the rest of that dosage. Put another 3 milliliters in. I was actually expecting it to really kind of take off after another 10 ml. If it doesn't soon, I mean, it's one of two things. It's either it's heavy on nitric or it's low on hydration. So we'll find out here in a second. All right, so you'll notice here that the fumes are starting to build up. It was right at 450, and just dosing it a little bit of nitric, 10 milliliters at a time. I've done that 1.5 times actually. So it's starting to fume up now. If this doesn't run for quite some time, then I'm going to have to give it a higher doses of nitric, because I might be on the weak side of it now. But I mean, I could make big moves one way or the other, just let it boil out, or just add more nitric to it. But I mean, I've got all day. I've got nothing to do. I don't have time for a boil over. I have plenty of time to sit here and watch this and look at gold items on eBay and on Marketplace. So we'll catch up with you soon. All right, so it's been more than 10 minutes, less than 15 here, and I'm getting the idea that it's more starved for nitric rather than for hydration. So we're at almost exactly 450 millimeters. I'm going to take it up to 50 I'm going to dose it in. I'm just not going to wait 10 minutes between each dose. We'll see. And if we get the reaction that we're looking for here pretty quick, then we'll know that that was the case. Otherwise, then I've made a mistake and it's a lack of hydration. But I really do not believe that to be the case. As you can see, I'm being pretty ginger here. It barely went above that line. But a boil over can happen in moments, so that is not what we're looking for. All right, now we got a reaction going. We'll give that a minute. All right, that was about 10 seconds. So we'll just watch as this gets to where it's going to go. And that wasn't even 25 mils. That was probably more like 15 to 18 by reading that line. But nitric is what it needed. All right, I think it's safe to put a little. Okay. Now we are going to let it sit and let that reaction mature for a little bit. At some point, I've got to get myself on an editing program, so we're not just watching something under time lapse that you're never going to see. Because I don't really make big moves at any one time, so you would never see it, even on a time lapse. But I mean, I have not increased the heat. As you see, the heat's is not even 25%. So now we have a reaction going. So I'm pretty happy with that. I've got all day, but it doesn't mean that I have to do this one drip at a time to get that silver dissolved. There we go. I like it. I like progress. But like I said before, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And it's taken me a bit to get there, but I'm just really cutting down on my waste nitric. And I mean, I have 20 gallons. I've got 4 or 5 gallon buckets full of rinse water that is heavy on nitric from, when I first started. And like I said, you can watch videos all day and you can watch hundreds of hours over 6 months like I did and finally get started, but you still just, until you do not know. You have to learn this by experience after you've spent quite a bit of time researching it. And if one thing I've done right, it's go slowly as far as reactions, but I've had a lot of waste, which is why I bought this tote right here, because I'm going to turn it into a big electrolytic cell. Right now I just use it to transport my dishes when I need to, my glassware when I need to clean it. But that's going to be probably a 4 or 5 plates, rods going across the top. Rods going across the top from here to all the way over here. Let me get some light on here. There we go. That's enough to accommodate at least 5 cathodes right there. And those will be encompassed with Dacron bags. And it'll be a sulfuric electrolytic reaction. And anything that I can cement out of my solutions and then put into this one here will separate all gold, all silver, all copper and get it into those bags, and I can truly harvest it all and then just neutralize anything that's left over. There's that reaction that we all want right there. So I'll be back in a minute. I got to answer that phone call that came through. Okay, it's been about half an hour, just jaw jacking on the phone, and this I just turned the heat up from where it was here to above here because it's making fumes again. It actually went almost clear, so I'm not just sure if it just needs more heat, but I'm going to take a look at that, and if it doesn't really drive the reaction, then I'm just going to add some more nitric to it, and probably a heavier dose. I'm just being a little timid with it, but we'll see what's going on. It's getting darker in there as we speak. I'll just let it run for a minute. Okay, so reacting, not the reaction that I want for the long haul, and it is getting along in the day. So I generally don't like my solutions to go up more than halfway up a beaker, but I think I'm going to add more for a longer duration reaction, and I'm stopping it there at 500, and then I'm going to add another 50 in, and I was planning on consuming this whole bottle here because you can do the math all you want on paper, but that's what it is. It's on paper. It really means nothing at the end of the day. If it's not dissolved, it's not dissolved, and that's just all there is to it. So we'll let that do its work for a couple minutes, and then I'll just start adding in the rest. And I think I'll just let it roll. You can watch it darkening up in there as it goes along. That's the kind of reaction I'm really looking for. If I can get that to endure. My big concern is that there's like a lot of fumes. I'm going to see if it comes into view. Yeah, right here. You can see the fumes coming out. I mean, they have to exhaust, but I like to see it dripping off the top plate there and just going back into solution for a little bit. Alright, I think this is a good opportunity to give this a stir. We do have some fumage, but it's getting light. And there is all kinds of metal still left in that. I mean, it's being stripped down. Yeah, this is the thing about sterling jewelry, is that a lot of those pieces have a skeletal frame to support the addition of like stones and weird shapes and stuff, and I do think that most of the silver is actually dissolved off, but I don't want to miss anything, so I'm going to let the reaction continue. So with that, I think I might reduce the heat just a smidge and add in some more nitric. That should be enough to cause a stir for a while. Because I'd like to think the skeletal frames of most of that jewelry is just like copper, but it might not be. I think now when I buy silver scrap jewelry, it's probably going to be at a different standard, like snake chains and bits that I know aren't going to be the ones that contain the stones. Let's just say it this way, just are always problematic. So, all right. That one's kicking off already. I get much more volume in here, I'm going to end up shutting down the reaction, just putting in a smaller beaker, and probably just picking it up tomorrow. Okay, so I've rehydrated the solution. I forgot to do that on camera, but we're getting up into the second part of 2/3 of this reaction beaker. I'm still on a low heat, but it's actually creating fumage, so that means I still have nitric, and I didn't have this much fumage in there. So now we're talking about we actually need some real hydration for this. So what I'm going to do, because I have a lot of non-silver skeletal remains, for lack of better terms, down there, I'm going to actually add the more hydration to it and let the nitric just run out, because at this point we have silver that needs room to go into solution, and nothing's going to happen if I don't do this. So all right, here we go. And I'm actually going to turn the heat up a little bit just to overcome the cold water that just went there. It was distilled water, but it looks that silver. I was going to say I thought it was silver chloride that got pulled out, but that's just the silver floating on top of solution. It's not quite what silver chloride looks like. So you can see here at the bottom, some silver is not quite going into solution, and I mean it's coming off of the jewelry, but I think that's just evidence that we didn't have enough water for it to go into. So I'm just giving it a good mix here. And then once this part is done, and I'm confident that the nitric has been eaten up, then we're going to pour this off and evaluate what we have left. I mean, I see pour some of that up. I mean, that was all marked 925, but as you can see on those little P symbols over here, it's coming off, but I just don't know if that was sterling, a heavy sterling plate, or what that deal is, let alone what this thing is. So I think it's going to be beneficial to eat up the rest of the nitric, and then decant this off and start with fresh nitric on anything that still has silver left in it, and the rest can sit in solution until this has completed its process. All right. So here I finally have a chance to show you this. Just one of my favorite sights is just silver floating on top of the solution. I think it's beautiful and visually stunning. More stunning than that is, when you introduce hydrochloric acid into silver nitrate and just see that beautiful cloud. I'd call it just making a cloud. And it's another one of my favorite parts. Just going to do another short segment here. This is a perfect example of how adding hydration to a solution might just enhance the reaction. I mean, that is way more of a reaction than we were having before I did that. And I should have kept better track. I think I put in at least 100 ml. Yeah, I doubt that's enough to even hold all the silver that's in solution. So I'm thinking that, I'm definitely not going to add any more nitric. I mean, look how dark it's getting in there already as we're speaking. So what I will do is add bits of hydration until I'm just not getting any reaction whatsoever. Then I'm going to pour it off into a bigger beaker and see what's left hanging on to the skeletal remains of the jewelry, because, you know, like I said before, you buy scrap jewelry, you're going to get stones that you want of no value. Sometimes you will get some of value, but there's no reason. No reason really. There's so much silver out there. I just don't think I'm going to buy anything else with stones. But we're going to keep a quick eye on this reaction because it's getting a little intense in there. Okay, so with any luck, by the time you see this video, I'll have figured out how to speed up that last 3 minutes and 15 seconds, but I just wanted to show you what rehydrating the solution has done for us, and that is as nice and perfect of a reaction as we've had, you know, since, you know, I started 3 days ago. All right, so I think it's time to add some more hydration to it. We're realistically at the 650 line. I'll add another 100, bring up to 750. There's still a little bit of fumage in there. 750. So again, we're just trying to figure out at this point if the dissolving silver needs more space in the solution. And when this heats back up, and if there's fumage, additional or more intense fumage being produced, then we'll know that was the right way to go. I mean, there's really no wrong way to go by adding the water, but we could go wrong by adding more nitric. Well, I guess you guys caught me sleeping while I was taking care of things around the workstation. This happened. Just a lot of nitric in there, still doing its job, which is, you know, really good. It means I have less work to do to see the reaction finished. But I'm not sure if I'm going to have to transfer this to another beaker. You'll cool it down first, but we'll find out. It's been continuously paying off to keep rehydrating this, and I know I'm up there, but every time I add water, I get respectable fumage here. So that again just means to me that the silver just needs room to grow in the solution. So I'm adding another 50 ml as we speak, and from this point on, I will just hydrate and time lapse. I really have nothing in particular to say of any value other than I'm just rehydrating until this nitric runs out. So I'm just going to add water, let it boil, and just consume the nitric. Okay, so where are we at this point? We have reached the capacity of this beaker to withstand any more reactions without overflowing. There's still nitric in there, but it only activates when I add fresh distilled water to it. So we've reached our max out our capacity for silver to go into solution. So I'm going to filter this off and then get this into a fresh nitric bath is where we're going with this right now. So let's get started. So as it turns out, I got ahead of myself and skipped a step. There was really no real need to filter anything yet when I took a little bit of a whiff and found out that there's plenty of nitric still in there. You can just smell it. So I'm just going to go ahead and add some water. There are definitely some copper sulfate starting to form, just copper from the sterling. Very, very little rinse water. Everything is in there now. And once the solution is done with its filtration through the Buchner funnel. Okay, let's do a little update here. I let the solution boil down after adding water to it several times just to drive off the nitric. There's a slight smell of nitric in there, but it's not too bad. So here's where we're at. Beautiful, beautiful, clear solution. Silver has come out of solution and cemented back to the original objects in the former crystals. That's fine. I am just currently filtering it off into this, and my phone is running out of memory, so I'm not going to be able to upload to or export to CapCut. So unfortunately, I have to do a part 2, but we'll get that out soon.